Trump continues to fight against the NFL players who protested during the national anthem. What NFL fans and Athens residents have to say about the controversy. Senate Republicans make yet another last-ditch effort to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act today. It's a make-or-break week for the GOP. And locals are calling the situation in St. Louis police riots after a round of protesting over the Stockley verdict turned violent yesterday. Newswatch starts right now. While the drama continues in the NFL, there's a battle going on in Capitol Hill that could determine if millions of Americans receive health care. Good evening, I'm Chelsea Sick. Thanks for joining us. In Ohio, the ability to enroll in Medicaid becomes a lot more difficult. The last remaining program in Ohio that helps residents enroll in Medicaid is being shut down. The Ohio Association of Food Banks shut down its Navigator program last Thursday after learning of a 71% cut in its grant funding. The executive director for the Ohio Association of Food Banks says most of the program's 54 employees will be laid off effective immediately. Another program ended its Navigator operations earlier this month, also for lack of grant funding. Meanwhile, Senate Republicans make yet another push to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act today. But with some disagreement in the party, passing health care legislation is a long shot. Stacey Cohan is in Washington with the latest in what is likely the last-ditch effort.
The latest version of the Republican health care bill is now available for all to see in a make-or-break week for the GOP to fulfill its promise to repeal and replace Obamacare.
We think it's good policy, which therefore will get folks to vote for it.
But at the moment, the prospects for the Graham-Cassidy health care plan are looking grim. They have until September 30th to pass a bill with 50 votes. After that, they'll need 60. With Senators Rand Paul and John McCain a firm no, they can't afford to lose one more Republican. The latest plan aims to pump more money into Alaska and Maine. Not coincidentally, Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski and Maine Senator Susan Collins remain on the fence. Democrats say that's nothing more than smoke and mirrors.
You should not be able to bribe states and governors to say, we will give you a little bit more money now, but after the next several years, we're going to cut access to Medicaid.
The plan would shift parts of the Medicaid expansion and subsidies from Obamacare into block grants controlled by states. President Trump supports the plan, and the White House says it's been working hard behind the scenes.
We've been calling on Congress to do what they were elected to do, and certainly what most of them campaigned on, and that's to repeal and replace Obamacare. So we're hoping that this moves forward and goes through.
But it could be a hard sell for Americans. Just 20% approve of the bill, according to a new CBS News poll. 52% disapprove. In Washington, I'm Stacey Cohan.
A spokesman for Kentucky Senator Rand Paul says he remains opposed to the GOP bill to repeal the Obama health care law. He says Paul's opposition would almost certainly cause the measure to fail. After a day of protests in the NFL yesterday, President Trump continues to fuel the conversation today via Twitter. In one of his tweets, he said the issue has nothing to do with race, but with respect for the country, flag, and national anthem. This particular tweet comes as a response to over 200 forms of protest. Yesterday, NFL players, coaches, and even performers who sung the national anthem showed solidarity. They either stood with linked arms, kneeled, or didn't take the field altogether during the anthem. President Trump says this is a big reason why the league's numbers are down.
The NFL has to work out their own problems. Their numbers are way down, and I think this is a big reason why their numbers are way down.
Some Athens residents and Ohio University students disagree with the president's tweets today. They also say the players shouldn't be scrutinized for the protests. Some believe President Trump is blowing the whole situation out of proportion. One local went as far to say the president should not be on Twitter anymore.
I agree with their protest. I believe that everybody has a right to their own opinion and has a right to, how they feel, and they should be able to express that.
In a professional, in such a professional, hierarchy, I feel like he shouldn't even be on Twitter, in my opinion.
With Monday Night Football just over an hour away, residents say they are a little nervous about what they might see. And after President Trump called out the players who took a knee during the national anthem, he looked to the fans to boycott NFL games until the league fires or suspends the players who protest. Ken Masenchi has fan reactions to the protests yesterday and their responses to the president's message for them.
Plenty of chances to see it. TVs line the walls of Turlock sports bars like Jams at 209 and Hawks Grill.
I knew it was going to be some kind of, firestorm.
It wasn't a question of if, it was more how NFL players would protest during the national anthem after President Trump's recent comments calling out players who do it.
NFL is huge. It's America's, sport, and millions, thousands, if not millions of people watch the sport every Sunday, Monday.
Turlock has a complicated history with the debate. Former Turlock native Colin Kaepernick was the first to set the trend as a member of the 49ers last year.
It doesn't matter to me who started it. I think it kind of puts our town on the map a little bit. But if it wasn't him, it would be somebody.
For him to be able to start that and be that person to do that, all you can have is respect for the guy.
As more players protest, NFL's fans' views get more conflicted.
If a player doesn't want to come out and attest to the national anthem or, involve themselves in that, that's their choice. But me as a person, I fought for this country. I feel like for us who have put their lives on the line and put ourselves in that situation, do it for them. I mean, I get it, there are some things that are wrong, but just do it for the people that put ourselves on the line so you get that choice.
With the line between sports and politics now blurred, some fans are feeling even more unsure.
I think they kind of overstep where they should. Politicians are now going into the sports realm. I don't think that's right either. You have politics, you have sports. It should stay separated. There should be a clear line of where people stand.
I feel it's appropriate. We look up to these people as not just athletes, but as role models and individuals. So if they feel they need to bring some of their actual personalities into something, their political views and everything, why not?
Coming up later in this show, we will take a look at the pregame plans for tonight's Cardinals and Cowboys game.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Nimmo. It was certainly a hot one today in Athens, seeing temperatures in the upper 80s. Right now we're at about 83 degrees. The dew point is at 58 degrees, humidity at 40%. It didn't feel too bad today because we had a little bit of a breeze. Around the region, we had temperatures mostly around the lower 80s, 79 in Cambridge, 81 Newark, 82 in New Lex, 84 Chillicothe, 83 in Athens. And as we look to the next few hours, we'll see some fair conditions for tonight, 80 degrees at 7 o'clock. But as we go towards the 8 o'clock hour, we'll start to see the temperatures slowly drop, 77 degrees at 8. And 9 o'clock, it will be 74, mostly clear skies tonight. And we'll have a full forecast coming up next.
All right, thanks, Taylor. Secretary of State John Husted has confirmed to the Department of Homeland Security that an IP address did try to access Ohio's election system last year. Ohio is one of 20 other states that have confirmed they were targeted by hackers. Husted said that access only lasted about a second and nothing was compromised. He believes the only access point a hacker might find is through the statewide voter database, which is backed up daily. He calls the situation exaggerated.
I don't believe that anything in 2016 happened that deserves the attention that this story is getting.
Husted also notes that his office has worked on securing the system with the Ohio National Guard and federal government. 7 of the 21 states that were targeted were considered swing states in last year's election. A new tradition began at Hocking College, an alumni homecoming and community day event. After the Hawks football game on Saturday, faculty, staff, and alumni attended the Community Day event, which included outdoor games and a free barbecue prepared by the college's culinary arts students. The day's activities were delayed for 2 hours because football opponent Georgia Prep's bus broke down. Hocking College buses were sent to pick them up. Wayne National Forest is planning to have a fee-free day for many of its recreation sites this coming Saturday. The forest is doing this in recognition of National Public Lands Day. The fee waiver applies to all recreation sites on the National Recreation Reservation System. The forest multi-use trails will also be available without a fee for the day. Most campgrounds and group picnic shelters will still require fees. Communities still feel the old wounds from the violence in Charlottesville and turn to song to heal in what is known as the Concert for Charlottesville. But first, protesters are finding new ways to get their message out tonight after more protests broke out in Illinois and Missouri last night following the Stockley verdict last week. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local Gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like we're having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Protest organizers say they are planning demonstrations tonight after a new round of protests over the Stockley verdict hit Missouri and Illinois yesterday. Today, officials announced protester charges of assault, rioting, and resisting arrests. Protesters in Missouri and Illinois marched yesterday with the same message. Over a week after the verdict, former police officer Jason Stockley was found not guilty in the fatal shooting of an African-American man. One St. Louis city leader is accusing officers of terrorizing protesters with brute force. Alderwoman Megan Green says this is nothing short of a police riot.
We have seen our citizens, our neighbors, who have been cuffed, sitting on the ground having mace sprayed in their face. We have seen groups of citizens be ushered into Central Reform Congregation and not be allowed out. And when we did leave, getting tear gassed as we walked quietly and silently on the sidewalk.
Green refers to these as acts of terror in the community. She calls for the community to not stay silent. People throughout Central Virginia turned to song last night to help residents in Charlottesville recover from last month's protests. The Concert for Charlottesville was organized as a response to the violence that took place in the city. Megan Moriarty reports. Oh, excuse me, we have technical difficulties. Hopefully we can get that package eventually. A lot of fans who did attend this concert say it was needed after the events on August 12th and said the concert will hold a special place in their hearts. Hurricane Harvey victims are still seeking disaster relief, and the time they have to sign up is ticking away. That story is still ahead.
I'm so excited to see Justin Timberlake.
I'm glad to be here.
I really wanted to see Ariana Grande and Justin Timberlake.
People of all ages came out on Sunday for the Concert for Charlottesville to see big-name performers take the stage. Musical artists like Dave Matthews Band, Ariana Grande, The Roots, Justin Timberlake, and others took the stage to spread the message of unity in Charlottesville in response to the hate that took over the city on August 12th.
I'm here to celebrate a new tone in Charlottesville, since of late it's been very aggressive and unsupportive and divisive. So I'm here for that reason. It's a feel-good, unifying event. and it was free.
I'm actually happy because after all what happened, the rally, I just feel like this is uniting everybody together again.
Scott Stadium was filled with fans listening to music, cheering on their favorite singers, and most of all, winding down after the events of the Unite the Right rally.
This is the 26th time I've seen Dave Matthews. I ended up being able to get the day off, the fact that it's for a great cause, come to see friends. So why not show up in Charlottesville for the concert? It's an incredible event. It's epic.
Performers band together to put on this free show for the people of Central Virginia, and all the proceeds will be donated to the victims of the Unite the Right rally.
I think it's great. I think it's an amazing thing that they're doing for everyone. I think for the healing process of Charlottesville, I think it's going to help out a lot with it and bring people together.
Next on Newswatch, Hurricane Harvey victims are still seeking disaster relief, and the time they have to sign up is ticking away. That story's still ahead.
Those high temperatures we've been seeing are going to continue for a couple of days, along with some chances of rain in the midweek, but we will finally see a cool down later on. But first, let's take a look at stocks of local interest.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Nimmo. Now, it might be the first week of fall, but these temperatures are sure feeling more like summer weather. We've had temperatures in the upper 80s, but around the region right now, we're sitting at about the lower 80s. 83 in Athens, 84 in Jackson, 84 in Chillicothe, 86 in Columbus. So we've been having some warmer temperatures than usual. Let's take a look at the high of today, 90 degrees, low of 57, just 2 degrees short of the record, 92 degrees in 2007. So you can see we're way higher than the normal temperature for today. High of 74, low of 52 is average. So we're seeing a lot higher temperatures than we're used to at this time of year. And as we can see where these come from, we see a lot of high pressure that we've been seeing. This is tonight, and if we look into tomorrow, it's looking pretty similar. But that high pressure is what's bringing all this higher temperatures, and that's actually what's pushing Maria out towards the Atlantic. But as we see behind this high pressure, we do see a cold front coming in that's going to bring some cooler temperatures as we move on later in the week. So there is some Good news that it will cool down as we go on throughout the week. But tonight, 63 degrees, mostly clear. We will see some fog later on, but overall it's going to be a pretty cool night. 63 is pretty nice compared to what we've been having lately. And also the overnight lows all around the lower mid-60s, 64 in Ripley, 63 Jackson, 63 in Athens, 62 in New Lex. So all around the 60s is what we'll be seeing for tonight. 8 p.m., 77 degrees. And as we move throughout the night, we're just going to see that slowly drop. 72 at midnight, and we'll go into the 60s around 4 a.m. And that's where we'll start to see that fog. Tomorrow in the morning, it's going to be about 63 degrees at the bus stop, fog lifting early, and it's going to be a muggy start to your Tuesday, but it will turn into a pretty nice day tomorrow, although we will still be seeing that heat. 8 a.m., it's going to be 65, feel pretty nice. Noon, it's going to be 81 degrees. We'll see that sun finally. 4 p.m., 88 degrees. It's still going to be feeling hot. Tomorrow, it's going to be a mix of sun and clouds, 89 degrees. Still those higher temperatures we've been seeing. And good news for the fall foliage, we will be seeing those leaves start to change within the next couple of weeks, maybe even this weekend. So that is exciting for all those people who love fall. And as we look into the rest of the week, we see a steep drop in the weekend. It's going to be 46 degrees as a low. So it will be a cool, nicer weekend. So just get through a couple more days of those higher temperatures, and we'll be seeing some cooler temperatures throughout the weekend. Back to you, Chelsea.
Thanks, Taylor. Thousands are still waiting in lines for disaster assistance from Hurricane Harvey. Today is the last day for people affected to get help from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as DSNAP. Long lines to sign up for the program started forming yesterday morning. The program provides eligible families with short-term food benefits.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nick Orsini. Tonight in sports, protests around the NFL have sparked much conversation after every team displayed a form of protest. Plus, what is the mindset of the Cardinals and the Cowboys ahead of Monday Night Football? That and much more when Newswatch returns. And remember to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Nick Orsini. After the drama of yesterday's NFL games, there's still one game to be played. Every team yesterday displayed a form of protesting, whether it be kneeling, linking arms, or remaining in the locker room during the national anthem. Tonight's game, featuring the Cowboys and the Cardinals, will have millions of viewers watching with all eyes and cameras on the sidelines just before kickoff. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones has made it very clear that he opposes national anthem protests, and so has head coach Jason Garrett, calling the anthem sacred. Whether it be individually or collectively, sources are saying that the Cowboys are planning a unity statement before the game. Arizona has commented saying their actions will be unified. Only time will tell as to what both teams will do. Kickoff is set for 8:30 on ESPN. Now, many teams have expressed their opinions after hearing President Trump at a rally on Friday saying NFL players should be fired for protesting the anthem. The Steelers were one of those teams to stay in their locker room as the anthem played. Here's what head coach Mike Tomlin had to say about his decision.
We decided to sit it out, to not take the field, to remove ourselves from it, to focus on playing football, and so those were our intentions.
Now, one player, however, decided to disregard Coach Tomlin's decision. Offensive tackle Alejandro Villanueva, who served 3 tours in Afghanistan and a graduate from West Point, came out into the tunnel with his hand over his heart to salute the American flag. Since then, Villanueva's jersey has become the best seller on NFL.com in the past 24 hours. Now, the Cleveland Browns, they traveled to Indianapolis to face the Colts in search of their first victory. Both teams took a knee before the start of the game. Quarterback Deshaun Kaiser had another slow start to the game. Rashawn Melvin intercepts Kaiser here, his first of 2 interceptions of the game and one of 3 for the Colts defense. It was another case of too little, too late for the Browns as they fell 31-28. Now, after the game, Kaiser said, quote, "Once again, this is a tragedy in this country that we have to sit here and still have these discussions. I know for a fact that I'm no SOB, and I plan on continuing forward and doing whatever I can from my position to promote the equality that's needed in this country." Now, sticking with the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals had 10 days to prepare for their visit with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. The Bengals, who had not scored a touchdown the entire season, finally got on the board with an Andy Dalton to A.J. Green 10-yard pass, giving the Bengals an early 7-0 lead. Now up 14-7, cornerback William Jackson III jumps in front of this Aaron Rodgers pass and takes it 75 yards to the house, giving the Bengals a 21-7 lead at the halftime break. Now, after tying the game with 17 seconds left to force overtime, Rodgers finds Geronimo Allison streaking down the field for a 72-yard pass to the 6-yard line, setting up a Mason Crosby 27-yard game winner to keep the Bengals winless. Now over to college. The Ohio Bobcats traveled to Ypsilanti, Michigan for their MAC opener against the Eastern Michigan Eagles last weekend. The game headed into overtime tied at 13. Ohio won the toss and opted to play defense. Eastern Michigan scored on the very first play, a Brogan Roback to Sergio Bailey 25-yard completion. The Bobcats answered with a back-to-back touchdowns from quarterback Nathan Rourke to Brendan Cope in the first overtime and Cameron Odom in the second overtime to take the lead. Ohio's defense forced a turnover on downs in the second overtime to win 27-20. The Bobcats now travel to UMass on Saturday for a 3:30 kick. I'm Nick Orsini, and that's all I got here for sports. Let's send it back over to Taylor for a final look at weather.
All right, let's take a look at our extended forecast for the week. We've got a lot going on here. Tuesday and Wednesday, we're still going to see those higher temperatures that we've been seeing the past week. But as you see, as we go to Friday and Saturday, we're going to start to see a steep drop. We'll go into the 60s. We'll have lows of 46 and 40. So the weekend's going to be definitely cooler, starting to feel more like fall. Some people are looking forward to that cooler weather. It's been kind of muggy, but we do have some chances of rain midweek. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we do have some chances of rain, so that's something to keep in mind. But as we move throughout the week, the temperatures are just going to continue to drop. We'll have, on this weekend, we'll have a pretty nice weekend. Partly cloudy and cool on Saturday, 69 degrees, but towards the evening, around 8 o'clock, it's going to be about 54 degrees. Jackets are needed. Grab your jacket this weekend, but it's going to be a lot cooler, and I know a lot of people are really excited about that. Back to you, Chelsea.
All right. Thanks, Taylor. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Chelsea Sick. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Buddy, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.